Hi and welcome to the Morning Mist Wrap tutorial. In this video I would like to show you how to make the shawls or scarves or wraps body, and also how to add the edge. As you can see, the body is created with the stitch pattern with cute small leaves and also with the chains, which makes it really drapey and lacy. If you would like to make your own wrap of the same size as mine, you will need the same yarn. I used Schipjes organic cotton, but of course you can use any yarn you like. I would like to mention that one color is the best for this pattern, but of course you can do the stripes as you like. And also you will need to make the gauge swatch to make sure that your gauge is exactly the same as mine. Then you will be sure that your finished wrap will be the same size as mine. So first I would like to show you how to start your project and how to make the stitch pattern with the leaves. For the gauge swatch you will need to begin with 29 stitches and do a few repeats, just so that you can easily measure the height and the width of your gauge swatch. Okay, so let's start. For this video tutorial, I'm using the DK weight yarn, but for the scarf, the finer yarn will work the best. So first we need to make the foundation cord, relaxed one, and I am using the foundation single crochet stitches. For that, please note that the pattern uses the American US crochet terms. So for the gauge swatch you will need 29 stitches. First we make the slip knot, and you should leave long enough tails so that you have it enough for all for the cord you will make. So you make the slip stitch and then you take the tail, wrap it over the hook, and then take the tail from the ball, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That will be the first stitch. And you will repeat this over and over again until you get the 29 stitches, which is good for the gauge swatch. But of course, if you don't want to do the gauge swatch, you can just jump right away to the pattern and make as many stitches as written in the instructions. So again, you take the tail, you wrap it over the hook from front to back, then take another tail, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. And continue doing this until you get the desired number of foundation stitch. My cord is ready. I made 29 stitches, but you of course can do more. So some people try to measure the gauge at this stage, but I don't recommend this because the cord is very stretchy and you can easily mismeasure the length of this cord. So I would really make the full gauge swatch with a few more rows and then carefully measure it for the width and for the height. So we will move to row 1, which will be done on the wrong side. To begin, chain 4, which counts as first double crochet and chain 2 space. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like turn, because we work in the opposite direction. And now you need to skip 1 stitch and double crochet into the next. Skipping 1 stitch means that this first stitch is already occupied with these chains, because this first chain 4 count as first stitch and chain 2 space. So you skip this one because it's already a stitch somehow, and then you skip another one. So in fact you skip this one and make double crochet into the next stitch. And then we move to the pattern repeat, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip two stitches, 1, 2, and make 3 doubles, 1 in each of next 3 stitch. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, skip 2 stitches and make double into the next. That's the pattern repeat, which will be repeated to last 2 stitches. So once again, chain 3, skip 2 stitches, work 3 doubles, 1, 2, 3. It might be hard to work into the foundation cord because it might be a little bit tighter. Then if you find it difficult to insert the hook, please change to a smaller hook for the first row. Skip 2 stitches and work double crochet into the next one. And repeat it to the end until you have 2 stitches unworked. While doing the rows of the shawl's body, please make sure that the chains are tight enough, because we always make 3 chains and skip only 2 stitches. It means the chains must be a little bit on the tighter side. That will give you the nice structure of your shawl or wrap. So we came to the end. And you see that I have 3 stitches left, but we should have 2 stitches left. Anyway, if you see this, that you have a kind of arrow, as I made, please don't panic, don't remake everything from the scratch. Just see the instructions. It's to make chain 2, skip 1 stitch and double crochet into the last. So in my case, I will skip 2 stitches and make the double crochet into the last. That doesn't matter at all. It's just 1 stitch. It will not make any influence on how the finished wrap will look, but it will save you a lot of time, because otherwise you will need to frog and undo. But please don't do it. That's row 1. Row 2 is worked on the right side, so it means that we will turn our work, and on all other rows we will turn the work after every row. So begin with chain 4, 3, 4, and we remember that it's the first double and the first chain 2 space. Skip first space and make 2 doubles into the next stitch. So here is the next stitch, double, so we make 2 doubles here, 1 and 2 into the same stitch. And we are in front of the pattern repeat, chain 3, front post double crochet 3 together around next 3 stitches. So you see that we have 3 stitches here. So we just yarn over, insert the hook behind the post of the first stitch, yarn over, pull up and pull through 2 loops. That's the first leg of the front double, 3 together. Yarn over, do the same around the next stitch. Yarn over, do the same around the next stitch. So you have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's 4 loops. That's the front post double 3 together. Now chain 3, skip the next space and make 3 doubles this time into the next stitch. 1, 2, 3. And repeat it. Repeat it to last space. So you will basically do chain 3, front post double 3 together, chain 3, 3 doubles into the next stitch, and you will do it until the next the last space. I'm nearly at the end of row 2, and you see that I've made already chain 3, and I need to make the last doubles into this last stitch, but the instructions say that in the very end you will work 2 doubles instead of 3 doubles into the last stitch. So we need to make the edges the same. You see that here we made 2 doubles into the first stitch, so we need 2 doubles here as well. So we make 2 doubles into the last double from the previous row, then chain 2 and double into the first chain space of this starting space from the previous row. So here is the first space, so we need to make the double into this first space. And here is how it looks after row 2. For row 3, we chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, turn, skip the space, the first one, and make 1 back post double around each of the next 2 doubles. So we yarn over and make 1 back post around each of these 2 stitches. So you insert the hook from back to front to back like this, grabbing it from behind and finishing the back post stitch, and the same for the next one. And now again we are in front of the pattern repeat. We chain 3, 1, 2, 3, 1 double crochet into the front post double, 3 together, chain 3, and 1 back post around each of next 3 stitches. So here 1, 2, 3. So now you see that the pattern is starting to build. You see on the right side you have these neat front post stitches, the petals is started to shape, and on the back side you see these ridges. So all the ridges must stay on the wrong side. Please be careful not to twist. And then you repeat this pattern repeat until you come to last space. So you make 3 chains double, 3 chains, 3 back posts. I'm almost at the end of row 3, so I made 3 chains and I would need to make 3 back posts, but you see that we only have 2 stitches and the instructions tell you to make 2 back post doubles instead of 3 around the last 2 stitches. So you chain 3, make 2 back posts doubles instead of 3, and in the end you chain 2 and double crochet into the first chain here from the starting chains. When you work into the chains, please always insert the hook into the 2 loops, not just in one because it will pull, but try to find another loop as well, any of the 2 loops actually. You have 3 loops here, one front post, front back and front, back, and hidden the 3rd loop here at the back. So you can insert either in front and back loop here from the front. Let's get them. Oh, they don't get. So for me, it's easier to make through the back and through the 3rd loop at the back. You make the last double crochet there, and that's the end of row 3. You see you have the ridges on the wrong side, and on the right side you have the neat petals. Row 4, chain 4 as usually, 1, 2, 3, 4. You skip the space and make front post double 2 together around next 2 back posts. So here you have these back posts, and you do it in the same way as here, the front post double 3 together, but here we will make only 2 legs. So yarn over, make the first leg, yarn over, make the second leg. You have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all of them. And pattern repeat is again chain 3, 3 doubles into the next stitch. 1, 2, 3, chain 3, front post double 3 together as you already did around the next 3 stitches. First leg, second leg, yarn over, 3rd leg, and pull through 4 loops. And repeat this small short repeat all over again until you come to the last space. And again, as on the previous rows, when you repeat the last front post double 3 together, you will make only front post double 2 together to make it equal to the beginning of the row. So you only make the front post double 2 together here, and finish the row in the same way as you did before. So you chain 2 this time, and insert the hook into the first chain and double crochet here. That was row 4. Row 5 is the last row of the pattern repeat, and it's very simple again. Chain 4, turn, skip the first space, double crochet into the next stitch, in our case front post double 2 together, and repeat is chain 3, skip the space, back post around each of next 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, chain 3 and double crochet into the next stitch, and repeat this small one until you come to the last space. Again, last double crochet of the row will be made into the front post 2 together here. That's the last double, chain 2, skip the space, skip 2, 3 stitches, and work the double crochet into the first chain space. So here are 4 rows of the repeat, row 2, 3, 4 and 5, and you will repeat rows 2 to 5 as many times as you need to get the desired length of your wrap, and then you will proceed to the border. I will make probably one more repeat so that I have enough fabric to show you the border, but for the gauge swatch I would recommend you to make 2 more repeats. Then you can easily measure the gauge for the width and for the height. When you measure the gauge for the width, please make sure that you count every chain 3 spaces as 2 stitches, not 3 but 2. And here of course you will count each stitch as a stitch. And for the rows, for the height, it's easy, so every row counts as a row. Okay, so I will make one more repeat and see you for the border. So here is how my small wrap looks after I made all the repeats I wanted. Yours will be much bigger, of course. So I stopped with row 5, and now I am again on the right side and I will be adding the border. First round is worked on the right side and we will go around your entire piece. So make sure you start on the right side. Chain 1 to begin, that will not count as a stitch. And single, chain to single into the very first stitch. Single, chain to single. And now you will work 2 single crochets into every space and 1 single crochet in every stitch. So you see we start with the space, so we make 2 singles into the space and 1 single into the next stitch. Again, you see the space, so work 2 singles there. And now you see that you have 3 stitches, so you work 3 stitches. And you continue with 2 stitches into every space and 1 stitch into every stitch until you come to the very last space here in the left upper corner. So I came to the last space, I work 2 singles into the last space, and now I will work into the first chain from the previous row. Here I will work single, chain to single to make another corner. Chain 2 spaces here will be the corners of your wrap. So single, chain 2 and single into the same chain. The edge should not be too loose, too wavy, and it should not also pull. So if you feel like it's a little bit wider, also please note that all the petals, they will a little bit shrink your wrap, but after you block it, after you add the border, you will do the final blocking and you will stretch it and make it wet, so it will be stretched, and then the border must be straight as well. But if you feel like it's waving too much, please either make less singles here. For example, you can make 1 stitch in this space, 2 stitches in this space, and repeat it. 1 here, 2 here, 1 here, 2 here. Or you can also switch to even a smaller hook, which I don't really recommend because the next round will be done with the slip stitches, and it's always very difficult to get into the loops of those. So if you feel like it's very wavy, please reduce the number of singles on this upper edge of your wrap. So now we made the corner, turn a quarter, and we will work along this side. And the instructions ask you to make 2 single crochets into every space. So you see here that we have these holes or spaces here. So you will work 2 singles in every space. But again, please make sure that it does not ripple or wave. If it waves too much, then you can alternate. For example, make 2 stitches here, 1 stitch here, 2 stitches here, 1 stitch here. It's really about the feeling and about your tension. Just make sure that this edge pulls a little bit with the singles. It should pull a little bit, then after blocking it will be just right. So I will try to make 2 singles in each space and we'll see how it works. So here is the next space, 2 singles here. And 2 singles here. You can always make, for example, some 10, 15 stitches and check it. I think mine is okay. It's not really too wavy. It looks fine. Here I think it waves a little bit, but again, as I told you, you will block it and then it will be even. Also on the next row, when you round, when you will work with the slip stitches, they will also pull that previous row a little bit. So just try to rely on your feeling and try to make it just right. So we came to the last space, make 2 singles into the last space, and now we are at the bottom. So we made 2 sides, and now we turn a quarter and continue along the bottom. Again, work single, chain 2 single into the first stitch of the bottom, and work 1 stitch in every chain here, because you remember that we made 3 chains here but skipped 2 stitches. So it means that this number of stitches at the bottom is right to work just as it is. So I will show you. I made the increase into the first stitch, so I only have 1 stitch here before the double. I'm inserting the hook through 2 loops, and I advise you to do the same because then it will not pull. You see, it's quite easy to see this V shape on top. So insert the hook here. Again, if it doesn't work, please choose the smaller hook and try to work a little bit looser so that you insert easily but your stitches are not tight. Okay, so you work along the bottom until you come to this last stitch here. Here is the last stitch from the bottom. So we make single, chain 2 space, single here, chain 2 space, single, and continue along the last edge in the same way as you did here. Please use the same way of crocheting as you used here, because the number of the stitches should be equal ideally, but if not, then as close as you can do that. So if you made two stitches in every space here, do the same here. If you alternated and made 1 stitch somewhere, please do the same here. I made 2 stitches in every space, so I will do the same. And when you come to the beginning of this round, you just join with a slip stitch into the first stitch here, and then make a slip stitch into the next space, and that will be the end of the round 1 of the border. So just to make sure you know how to join, I finished this row and I insert the hook into the first stitch to join with a slip stitch and slip stitch into the next chain 2 space. So you see that we framed our project, and make sure again everything is nice, not waving, not rippling, not pulling. I think mine is really nice, and I'm okay to move to the round 2. Round 2 is worked on the wrong side, it means we will turn the work and work in the opposite direction, and it worked with the slip stitches into the back loop, which is a little bit tricky with the slip stitches, because here you should really make them a little bit looser than you would normally do them, so that it should be airy, puffy, not tight at all, because otherwise it will be really painful to insert the hook into them onto the next round. So we chain one, which is not a stitch, turn and continue with the slip stitches until you come to this corner space here. So look at the stitches from the above, you can see this V shape. So here is the front loop, here is the back loop, so you will insert the hook into the back loop. So chain one is not a stitch, and begin with the first stitch, inserting the hook in each stitch into the back loop and completing the slip stitch. If you feel it is really difficult to insert the hook, again, you can opt for the smaller hook or hook with the sharp point, then it will be easier to insert. But then if it's a smaller hook, make sure that you really make your slip stitches loose. Again, they should be airy, puffy, not tight at all. You see, my edge is not pulling because of this row, but it stays the same lengths. And you see that the V shape here, here, and here is exactly the same. So it's not tight somehow. So you do this until you come to this corner chain two space here. When you come to the corner chain two space, maybe it would be wiser to mark them on the previous round so that you see them clearly. But anyway, here is the last stitch from the previous round, and here is the chain two space next. So I worked the slip stitch into the last stitch, and now we will just make single, chain two, and single into the next chain two space. Mark it just to make sure that you find it, and then continue with the slip stitches into the back loop. So here you see the next stitch, so insert the hook here and work the slip stitch into the next, and continue in the same way around the entire wrap. So you will come to this chain two space again, work single, chain two, single into this one, and the last chain space is here, so you will do the increase here and join with the slip stitch into the first stitch, and you will go around the entire piece and stop here where you started. So I came to the last chain two space here, you see this small hole, so I work single, chain two, single, and join into the first slip stitch here. You can also join into the back loop. So insert the hook into the back loop of the first slip stitch and join with the slip stitch. Here how it looks on the back side, wrong side, and here how it looks on the right side. You see this nice ridge appeared on the right side. After you make round two, you can check again the waviness of your piece. I think mine is okay. It's a tiny bit wavy on the top, but again, after I block it, it will be okay. It's very good on the bottom, and also I think it's very good on the side. So maybe I could make a little bit less stitches here, but then the bottom and the top, they would be not the same lengths. So I prefer to make them equal, here and here equal. That's why I decided to do exactly as per instructions. But of course, you can do on your own. And now we will move to the round 3. On next rows, we will work in rows, so we will not work around the entire piece with one long row, but you will work vertically to the body of your wrap. So you will work like this, building the textured slim border. I will show you how to do that. So row 3 is worked on the right side. We slip stitch into the next chain 2 space to begin. Now we chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make them a little bit looser. Slip stitch in second chain from the hook. So that's the first one. That's the second. slip stitch here, 2 single crochets, 1 in each next chain, 1, 2, 2 single crochets, slip stitch into the next, and now we are on the shawl's body here. So we covered all the chains, 5 chains we made, so now we will continue to work along the shawl's edge. So we need to make 2 slip stitches in the back loop on this edge. So look from the top on this edge and you will see these V shapes. So these V shapes are again the front loop and the back loop of the slip stitches you made on the previous round. So you insert the hook into the back loop and work first slip stitch and insert in back loop and second slip stitch. Here is the end of row 3, very, very short. Row 4 is worked on the wrong side. You chain 1, turn your work and complete 4 slip stitches into the back loop. So you start in this stage because here is the chain we just made. So you start here, again, you look from the above and work for 1, 2, 3 and 4 slip stitches into the back loop, and you see that 2 stitches stay unworked. That's okay, that's how it should be. This is row 4. Row 5, chain 1 and turn, 1 slip stitch in back loop in the next stitch, 2 singles into the back loop, 1, 2, and 1 slip stitch into the next stitch into the back loop again. And you are at the end of the previous row. So you see this bump. You will see in the instructions the word bump. It means this bump it's here, this small thing on the edge of the previous row. That's bump. So you skip this bump and you continue to work on the wrap's body. So you skip this bump, you skip this stitch because it's already occupied with this bump actually from the previous row. And you work 2 slip stitches into the next 2 stitches of the body, 1 and 2. This is row 5, and row 6 is just the same as row 4. So chain 1, turn and make 4 slip stitches into the back loop, 1, 2, 3 and 4, again leaving 2 stitches unmarked. So here are all the rows you need for the edge. So you will repeat rows 5 and 6. So you will build these small ridges along the top of your wrap until you come to this corner chain 2 space, until you cover 1 or 2 spaces here with row 5. So I will do the repeat of rows 5 and 6 for you, and I will see you here to show you how to do it in the corner. So here is how the top of my swatch looks after I added the repeat of rows 5 and 6 of the border. You see that it was a little bit wavy before I started to add this slim border, but after I did it, it's evened and became really straight. It became also a little bit wider, but again, after you block it, it will be stretchy and it should be just fine. So on the last repeat of row 5, I covered this stitch before the chain 2 space. See, we have this stitch covered and then we have 2 spare chain spaces. So now I will make again row 5, chain 1, slip stitch, 2 singles into the, oh wait, I think I I made chain ones, chain one twice. So chain one. So slip stitch, 2 singles, slip stitch. We are at the end of the previous row before the bump. Those last slip stitches are really hard to make. And now we are in front of this corner. So we count every chain as a stitch. So we do exactly the same as we did on all the previous repeats. So we skip the bump and work 1 slip stitch into each of 2 stitches. In our cases, that will be chains, but that doesn't matter if it's 1 chain or 2 chain. I stopped before the chain 2 space, but if you have a different number of stitches here, you might finish your row 5 just in 1 chain. That does not matter at all. So just do it as you previously did, and count every chain 2 space in the corner as 2 stitches. Chain 1 and work 4 slip stitches as you did before. 1, 2, 3, 4. We leave these 2 stitches unworked. Chain 1, turn, and continue to repeat rows 5 and 6. So again, slip stitch, 2 singles, 1, 2, slip stitch. You skip this bump and this stitch where it was worked and work 2 slip stitches on the body. You see, we kind of framed this corner already, and it will be even more visible on the next, after the next rows. So chain 1 and 4 slip stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's repeat of row 6. Turn. I made chain 1 already. So row 5 again. Slip stitch, 2 singles, slip stitch, skip this bump and work 2 slip stitches into the back loop of the next. You see? We passed the corner and we continue to do the same reach here. So chain 1 and repeat of row 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 slip stitches. Chain 1 and turn. So do the same. So you basically repeat rows 5 and 6 all over again, counting every chain 2 space in the corner as 2 stitches. So you pass this corner, this corner, this corner, and you continue along the last side. And here I will show you how to finish this edge. So I'm almost done with the repeats of rows 5 and 6 around my swatch, and look how cute it is. Isn't it cute? I really like all the corners, all these curved shapes around the corners, and also the lace inside. I think it looks really beautiful. And now we need to close this gap somehow. So I made the repeat of row 6. Now I will chain 1 and repeat row 5 as I did before and you did before. Slip stitch, 2 singles, slip stitch. You see, I still have some thing to work into, so I will work 1 slip stitch here into the next loop. You might not see clearly the stitches here anymore, but just insert the hook in any loop you can. That's the repeat of row 5, chain 1 and turn, 4 slip stitches for row 6, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now it looks like we will be making row 5 for the last time, and the instructions tell you to cover first 2 chains of row 3 on the last repeat of row 5. So we chain 1, work slip stitch, 2 singles, and slip stitch again. And you see that we have this bump, but we don't have any more stitches on the on this edge. But we need to cover these first chains of this initial row. It was, I guess it was row 3, right? So we will skip this bump and make 2 slip stitches in these 2 initial chains from row 3 and chain 1 and repeat row 6, making 4 slip stitches into the back loop, and that will be the end of your border. So you will just fasten off. I will not do this and cut the yarn because I will save my yarn for the future, but otherwise you will fasten off here, and you see this corner, it will be a little bit different from the rest, but from the distance it will be not seen. So here is the end of the Morning Mist wrap. I hope you will enjoy this pattern, and I really hope to see many wraps in my social media feeds. Please tag me, tag Schipius Organicon yarn if you work with it, and tag this project so that I can find it and see it. And also share it in my group on Facebook. We have a lot of members there already. Please sign up for the group, answer the question upon the sign up, and I will approve you. And please share your beautiful creations made with Bjorn patterns in this group. So I hope you enjoy, and see you